Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 309 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live, as always, on YouTube. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do consider doing so, and if you'd like to get notifications about upcoming videos, remember to click on the little bell. I hope you are all well. First comment for this video goes to Eric, who says hello, and then straight after Eric is Fahmi saying hello from Indonesia. Christine says hello from London. Aileen on Beauty says hello as well. Marie says hello, just left the big cycling race in Montreal to attend the live session. Thank you very much, very kind of you. And Olfactive Stories is saying hello from France. So whether you are watching the recording or you're watching live, you're very, very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as I say, I hope you are well. Today, we are going to be presenting one of our seasonal top 10s. So top 10 scents for autumn 2022, because whether we like it or not, autumn is just around the corner. Keep the comments coming, by the way. And as regular viewers will know, I try to think of a very, very, very loose theme to tie the scents together, so that there is a kind of hook on which to hang all of them. And I tend to take inspiration from whatever is happening in the world around me at the moment, just before I start thinking of the list. And it just so happens that I started thinking about doing this video a few days before the events that have changed the history of the United Kingdom. I don't want to dwell too much on that, because that will only be sort of relevant for those of you watching live. Anybody watching this video 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a couple of years from now won't necessarily know what I'm talking about. But before I even started thinking about this video, I was having a conversation with a friend about how, if we were to step back and look at the history of this country, of the UK, of the sort of last 4 to 5 years of the history of this country, it really does feel like this most recent period has been a kind of transition period. It feels like a sort of before and after moment. There was some change at the beginning of the week anyway, and then of course towards the end of the week we got quite a sort of massive generational change. And so all of that led me to go with my instinct, which was that for the sense of autumn 2022, I wanted to focus on concepts like reliability, dependability, solidity, sense in which you can trust, and ideas in which you can trust, things that don't change in the face of the constant change that is always around us, and change that perhaps is taking place at an accelerating rate. I don't know whether you would disagree with me or not. So that's the very, very loose idea for the next 3/4 of an hour or so. The 10 perfumes that I'm going to present to you are meant to be dependable, reliable, maybe stately. They're not all very old. In fact, as I look at my list, the majority of them are from this century. There's one pretty old one, but as I say, most of them are from within the last 22 years, but they all convey a certain sense of weight and gravitas and authority, and this sense that they're not just going to change with the wind, if you see what I mean. So what have people been saying so far? And if that concept, the way I've described it to you, sparks off any ideas in you, do let me know what scents come to your mind when you think about that, and also what scents you're looking forward to wearing for autumn 2022. So what are people saying? Caledonia says, greetings from Loveland, Ohio. What a wonderfully named place, Loveland. How do you say? Do you say Loveland or Loveland? Sandra saying hello from Germany. Is it Elias says, hello, wow, finally my first live. You're very, very welcome. Chang is still in Nice, I see. Viewers love top 10s, says VBS221. Lana is in Amsterdam. Sharon is in Dallas, Texas. Esomar is saying good evening from Singapore. Milad is from Tehran, is watching us from Tehran. Marianne is watching us from Sweden. Lots and lots of people tuning in Ethan says, hello from Korea. Gosh, wow. I'm a huge fan of your channel. The best fragrance reviews. That's very, very kind. Thank you very much. Christine says, some stability would be very welcome at the moment. Yeah, I know what you mean. What a brilliant theme, says Charmely. Le Lion for sure for me. Le Lion nearly made it onto this list, but no, we're going to start with another Chanel, actually. Elections in Sweden today, says Marianne. Okay, well, fingers crossed that they go well. And Lieselot is watching from Paris. Okay, keep the comments coming, keep the questions coming. I think we need to start with our top 10. And as I say, we will start with a Chanel. It's the one in the thumbnail, if you haven't already seen the thumbnail. This particular version of this one came to us in 2016, but we originally were introduced to it in 2007 as an exclusive, as an eau de toilette. This is the EDP of 31 Rue Cambon, which of course is the address of Madame Coco Chanel's, Mademoiselle Coco Chanel's apartment in Paris, which I was very, 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 very fortunate to be able to visit several years ago now, thanks to Chanel. Fascinating going and seeing it. I mean, it's been kept in immaculate condition, but really, really amazing seeing it. Chanel holding their breath to see if BDC is included here. Hang on, what's BDC? Somebody help me out. Oh, Bleu de Chanel. No. No. I love 31 Cambon, one of the first exclusives I fell in love with, says Esomar. Pradeep says, smells like an expensive dress. Okay, let's spray it. So here we go. Our top 10 starts with this one. And I think this is one of the ones that actually benefited from being transposed from an EDT into an EDP. If you remember, the original exclusives that we got were all EDTs. And then came the process of changing them to EDPs. Some of them lost something. I think they lost a kind of, well, a breathability. I think they lost a sense of space. But this one I think worked. And James says 31 Rue Cambon EDP was my wedding perfume. Fantastic. I hope the marriage is still going strong. Otherwise, you're going to be associating very unpleasant memories with that. Okay. Okay, so what can we say about this one? So as I say, Jacques Polge, originally 2007, this version 2016. And who said, because I love that expression, smells like an expensive dress. Yes, it certainly smells expensive. It smells of, but it smells of old wealth expensive, doesn't it? Old money expensive. It smells of a real old world, again, unchanging, dependable sophistication. This is the smell of, who's the character in The Age of Innocence, the Edith Wharton novel, who is I think she's May's grandmother. Is she called like Nanny Mingott or something like that? The one who's played, oh God, I'm forgetting everything. The one who's played by Miriam, what's her name, in the Martin Scorsese film. She is this kind of very, very clever, feisty, and yet very warm, congenial character who somehow manages to be the grand matriarch without ever making it obvious that she's pulling all the strings. This is that kind of smell. It is, in terms of its structure, I guess, a chypre, a modern chypre. Apparently, back in the day when it was released, Chanel made a big thing of the fact that they managed to recreate a genuine sensibility of a chypre without really using oak moss. And it's also, in terms of the style of chypre, it's definitely the sort of fruity inflected chypre that we would associate with things like Guerlain Mitsuko or the original Femme de Rochas, perhaps Jubilation 25 from Amouage, that really, really classic, plummy, fruity, berry fruity, ever so slightly boozy note at the top, going through to the woods, and a really, really beautiful, inky, mossy base. I see some similarities with 1932, says Time to Musk Up. Maybe I'd have to resmell night. I seem to remember that 1932 was powderier, but I could be wrong. There is, as in keeping with the other exclusives that came out at that time. There is that beautiful iris note that you get at the beginning. Something peppery as well. The iris in it really ties everything together, says Pradeep. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, you're absolutely right, because I think it's the rootiness of the iris that somehow marries up with the slightly rooty, earthy qualities of the fruit. And of course, that works very well with whatever it is that's doing the kind of mossy chypre thing in the base. Probably a good dose of patchouli in here as well. Something peppery at the top. The florals are, I suppose, are sort of rosy, freesia, sweet pea-like, but this is this is all about the overall effect. And I just saw somebody use the word. Did somebody say symphony, or am I seeing things now? Oh, Cat C says, I was just thinking about 31 Rue Cambon today. Totally random coincidence. Embodies timeless elegance perfectly. It completely is that sort of scent, but it's also, as I say, weighty. This is the scent of authority, and this kind of sets the tone for, I guess, pretty much all of the ones that I'm looking at here. They're all going to express the idea in slightly different ways, but that's what we're going for autumn 2022. We want stateliness and stability and decorum, and heft. Nothing wishy-washy, nothing light. Shimon is here as well, saying hello, everyone. Hi. And EcoJock says hi, all. Oslam says, my number one is still Shalimar EDP, followed by number 5. And Angela says, hi, Angela. Hi there, Persolaise and everyone. Bit late, but happy to be here. You're more than welcome. Okay, we've done one. Next on the list, we're kind of going back 4 years from this EDP version to another scent that I fell in love with instantly as soon as I smelt it. From 2012, from Etat Libre D'Orange, this is The Afternoon of a Faun, composed by Ralph Schwieger. This is good going for me, okay? A bottle that is more than a third empty for me is pretty good. And let's have a spray. I was thinking as well, when I was making this list, I thought this could almost be a kind of recommended chypre for autumn 2022, but not all chypre. Could they all kind of count as chypre? No, I suppose they couldn't really. No, certainly. I'm just looking at a few that definitely wouldn't be chypre. But they do have that grown-up quality, because the chypre are probably the most grown-up genre of scents. I think you would agree. And I guess that's another thing that I'm trying to say here. By saying, by throwing words at you like dependability, reliability, I guess I'm also sort of trying to say that I think for autumn 2022, the idea is to be grown up and to sort of throw away childish things and to face up to the reality of the things going on around us, but not in a depressing way. Definitely in a sort of optimistic, looking forward to the future sort of way. VBS221 says, I've actually been wearing Encre Noire a lot lately. Okay, so let's smell this. So if you haven't ever tried Afternoon of a Faun from Etat Libre, you are in for such a treat. It is without any question one of my favorites from them. It's just... Now, where the Chanel is, as I say, authoritative and beautifully turned out, Afternoon of a Faun is those things as well, but it's also romantic. And I guess it's no coincidence that it's named after a ballet, that it's named after a ballet that was both extremely sensuous and extremely controversial. Probably the two went together. And it's also got that sense of being this island that is just not going to be affected by the tides going crazy all around it, by being buffeted by the winds, by the waters lapping at its shores. It is going to stay constant and in a way defiant, but without shouting. Hats off the Persolaise, says Mr. Smelly 19s. Thank you very much. And good morning from Los Angeles, says Lynn Leglaire. So what do we get when we smell this? Well, I remember at the time being one of the few people who actually immediately thought, gosh, this feels to me like a very, very sort of modern chypre, because I'm smelling it now, and I kind of think I'm getting a citrusy thing at the top, maybe a kind of bergamoty, lemony thing at the top, and lots of mossy, inky, bitter, green forest floor stuff in the base, the kind of thing that you would imagine a faun enjoying to, frolicking in. But lots of people also read this as an immortelle composition, and I completely get that. And the spicy fenugreek-like roasted lavender curry quality of immortelle is here for sure, without any question, and it is this sense distinctive feature. And it's actually coming across a lot now, with the heap of labdanum, I would have thought. But I read it very, very strongly as a chypre, and I still do. So yeah, that's nobody here seems to be saying anything about it. Neil says, surely Le Labo, I've not heard you discuss Le Labo, by the way. Patchouli 24 is the perfect autumn scent. That is probably one of my favorite Le Labos. I have reviewed Le Labo quite a bit over the years. But no Le Labo in today's list. Chypre are mature for me, says Mirish, but they're also soothing and embracing at the same time. Yes, they completely are those things. Chypre are very, very grown up, and as you say, mature, but they're not standoffish, are they? They do welcome you, just like that character. I wish I could remember her name in The Age of Innocence, who sort of always envelops everybody into her ample bosom, as she's greeting them. It's got that kind of feel. They're very warm, aren't they? There is nothing cold. Mrs. Mingott, thank you, Christine. Wasn't it Nanny Mingott? I'm right. It is Nanny Mingott, because she was May's grandmother, and I think she was also Ellen Olenska's grandmother, I think, which is why Ellen and May were cousins, right? Anyway, we're going off on a tangent now. Tripty says, I wonder if the scents in this episode will all lean towards the profound. That's a good word as well. Yes, I like that word. I think that's definitely a kind of, touchstone for today. Woods, leathers, ambers, tobaccos, patchoulis, and tonka. Is there room for effervescence and contradictions in profound scents? I would have thought there is room in that. I mean, and you may wonder if one or two of them do have a kind of effervescent quality, but no, we're going for heavy. Granny Manson Mingott, says Marie. Thank you very much. Thank you, Edith Wharton, wherever you are. Nicolai says, watching from Argentina, the scent I like most for autumn is Bal d'Afrique. Fantastic. Have you tried Sycamore Parfum yet, says Time to Muscat? No. That is definitely one that I need to get my hands on sooner rather than later. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the 70s. Let's go to 1970, in fact, for this classic is still with us. This is a modern bottle. I don't have a vintage of this. From Reminiscence. This is their classic patchouli. This may well have been their first perfume. It's still, I think, the one for which they are best known. They're a brand that for ages had its HQ in Juan-les-Pins, which is the town that right next to Antibes, on the Mediterranean coast in France. And they had a shop there as well for a long time. I don't know if that shop is still there, but always on their bottles you would see the address as Juan-les-Pins. I don't know, or at least on the packaging. Interesting. I think, does that say Cannes now? Maybe something's changed there, but it was always known as a genuine bona fide Juan-les-Pins brand. Milad says autumn in Europe is different from in the Middle East. Yes, absolutely. I mean, autumn will be different in, even within different countries in Europe. Autumn in Spain is going to be very different from autumn in Scotland, I should imagine. But I can only present you the top 10 as I see fit with the kind of theme that I've come up with for today. So, Reminiscences Patchouli, absolute classic patchouli, considered by many to be the best straight up and down patchouli scent that is still current, still available. And I mean, it is a patchouli from the word go. You get that earthy, soil-like, dark brown leaf slash bitter chocolate quality that is the hallmark of patchouli. A tobacco note, but they've made it sweet, which I guess is what tones down the harsher, more camphoraceous qualities. I would imagine there's a good dose of vanilla in there. There's something balsamic, which is making the whole feel quite powdery. Very sparkling citrus note at the top, which is why when somebody said, are there any sparkling ones in here? I actually consider this to be quite a sparkling sort of patchouli, although it's still a hefty, weighty scent. It dries down beautifully. And again, just the fact that it's been with us since 1970 and is still doing extremely well by all accounts, I think means that it deserves a place on this list. The modern version is good, says Kim, but the original patchouli is almost a reference patchouli, so rich. Well, if I did smell the original, I don't actually remember that well. I suppose I did at some point, but I don't have a bottle of it. It might be an interesting one to get a vintage bottle of. What else are people saying? Eric says, hi all, wearing Amouage Royal Tobacco right now, Opus 14. Still not sure if I like it or not, but guess it would be a good autumn perfume. Yes, it would. I really like it. Am I allowed to say that? I mean, it's not on the list because I don't do Amouage in lists anymore. But yeah, I've said it now and it's live, so I can't take it back. Pradeep says, I'm liking Marie-Jeanne's Jasmine Patchouli. Interesting. I don't think I've tried that one, or if I have, I've forgotten. Eric says, I wonder if Aromatics Elixir from Clinique will be on here. I just adore that one. And that's a very good recommendation, actually. It's not on this list, but that is a good one. That is definitely one that, you know, were I doing the list on another day, I would absolutely have considered putting on here as well. Milad says, I like Javoy Psychedelic as well. That's a very good patchouli. I remember the first time I tried it thinking, gosh, you know, that's going to go down as a kind of really solidly done, straight up and down, excellent patchouli. Okay, moving on, because we mustn't hang about with this video, but keep your recommendations coming. I'm enjoying reading them all. Now we go back to 2016, flitting around through the years, and a brand that it is getting more and more attention, and rightly so, but I think still deserves considerably more attention than it's getting, because pretty much every single scent that they have released is, you know, the worst that they've done is to create something that is very good indeed, and a lot of their stuff is excellent, so definitely worthwhile. If they do a discovery set, you need to check it out. This from Eris is Night Flower from 2016, composed by the inimitable Antoine Lee, as are all of the scents from the brand so far. This is a brand that was founded by Barbara Herrmann, who actually happens to be the author of this book right here, the one that I'm pointing at there, and she very kindly gave us some time a little while ago and did an interview on this channel. There is not much about the history of perfume and about vintage scents that she does not know. And you can see that, you can feel that, you can smell it in the perfumes that she has creative directed, because they are all extremely well aware of their heritage. They all pay homage to the past, and yet they are not mindless clones. You know, they're not sort of mindless, brainless copies of things that have been done before. They constantly keep trying to push things forward to the future, and they succeed. Antoine Lee says, Alex Chu, la douleur exquise. Ah, now, yes, that's, oh, my memory is really, that's the perfume that's done by the chap who also is a reviewer, who the Canadian guy, oh, this is really bad, somebody help me out, who has also started his own brand. Oh, it's going to come to me. As soon as somebody says what his name is, I'm going to kick myself. Eugen, thank you very much. Phew, this is why we do it live. Yes, and oh, there we go. Oh, everybody helping me out. You smells good. That's it. That's it. And now I need to try his perfumes, actually, because I've been hearing lots of good things about them. Anyway, this is Night Flower, also by Antoine Lee. I think the thing that I find fascinating about the Eris scents is that Barbara Herrmann just flat out, I think, completely refused to make anything that was going to be simplistic or instantly accessible. Each of her scents is one that you can come back to again and again. You will usually discover something. You will usually discover something new, something you hadn't spotted before, a different nuance, a different kind of inflection. And what do we get in this one? You get a spicy opening, but essentially it's a kind of leathery tuberose. And of all of the scents on the list for today, this is probably the most dangerous one. Okay, this is probably the one that has got the sharpest claws. But I included it anyway because, well, number one, because I like it, and because I think I'm looking forward to wearing it in the autumn. But it has also got that strong, authoritative, dependable, heavy, profound quality to it. This is a night flower from a night that is inky black, and yet somehow maybe it's a kind of protective sense of a protective sense of danger. So the scent is dangerous, but it's going to be like a shield of armor around you, and so you are going to be protected by it, if that makes sense. Yeah, do seek this one out if you haven't already. The owner is wonderful, says Time to Musk Up. Spoken to her before. She exposed influencers asking for free stuff. Oh, did she? Well, I mean, asking for free stuff in return for what? I suppose there's nothing wrong with asking for free stuff, but I guess it takes it to another level if you sort of say, give me free stuff and I will say that I love it, or if you don't give me free stuff, then I will say that your brand is rubbish. And that kind of thing does happen. I mean, I always on my blog posts and on the videos disclose how I got the samples, and this one was given to me by the brand, but never ever on condition that I would be positive about it. That's sort of still stands. I need to find out who she exposed. I want to know now. Is there a video on her exposing them, says Alex? Oh God, maybe we need to change the subject. Okay, fine. I've seen the response to the Time to Moscow. Tripty says, Night Flower is fierce in its grandeur. All of Eris's perfumes have that quality, don't they? Yes, absolutely. A perfect theme for now, says Mimi Sapphire. It reminds me that the UK monarchy is indeed a constant. Rachel says, we trust and we adore and trust you, Mr. B. Thank you very much, Rachel. We know you'd never be up to those shenanigans. No, and I hope everything is well with the new job and that you've kind of got into a better sleep cycle. Now, we are almost at the half-hour mark, which means we should be doing our fifth one. And sure enough, now this, if there is one scent that conveys this sense of steadfastness and dependability and reliability and trustworthiness, then surely it must be this one because of its story. So it came to us in the year 2000, but actually the story is that it was composed by its perfumer, one of the most famous perfumers of all time, many years previously, for none other than his wife. And then Frederic Malle said asked the perfumer's son, so the perfumer is Edmond Rudnitska, his son is Michel Rudnitska. I think he managed to persuade him to allow him to release this perfume to the public. And, we are all the richer for that. It's Parfum de Therese from Frederic Malle from the year 2000, from the original Frederic Malle lineup. And what else is there to say? Edmond Rudnitska made one of the most beautiful perfumes he'd ever made for his wife. Nobody else wore it. Nobody else had it. That was fine. He didn't want to profit from it in a fiscal sense, in a financial sense. And it is just heavenly. La Prune, it's known as, says Pradeep. Yes, it's definitely got that Rudnitska signature. I wondered about including Durella. But then I thought, no, let's go with the most romantic one. Let's go with the one that completely encapsulates this idea of dependability. Daily Medical Discovery says Therese is wonderful because nothing about it is commercial. Yes, I know what you mean, and yet, go back a few decades, and this would have been a commercial scent. You think of things like Femme de Rochas, which was also by Rudnitska, and Durella, which was by Rudnitska. They have that signature, which is, not unlike we were talking about the Chanel, a fruity, plummy, prune-like, oozing juice fruitiness at the top, and that melony quality as well, which is very, very, very Rudnitska, going into just a woody, mossy base that is so dependable as to be almost heartbreaking. Let's do another literary reference. Atticus Finch, okay, Atticus Finch from Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, probably one of the, this paragon of dependability. Although he came across as an interestingly different character in the follow-up that they published after Harper Lee died. What was it called? Go Set a Watchman. I mean, you could argue that he actually came across as a more nuanced, realistic character, but let's park that one to one side. So Atticus Finch, as we have him in To Kill a Mockingbird, is just this flawless paragon of complete and utter dependability. And that is what I'm trying to convey through these scents. So Mrs. Mingott, Atticus, throw in some other dependable characters. Who are the other super dependable characters? But ones who somehow manage to be dependable also by being fairly quiet and static. So, don't say Gandalf, okay? Because Gandalf is in a way also an action hero, even though he is completely steadfast and dependable and reliable. Those sorts of characters, like the sort of Dr. Watson characters, even though he was the fall guy in the Sherlock Holmes stories too. Lieselot says, do you think Femme de Rochas is still relevant today? Have never tried it, but like Mitsuko and the Chypre Jean. Well, the Femme de Rochas that you get these days is different. The brand are completely open about the fact that several years ago they had to reformulate it, and I believe it was reformulated by Olivier Cresp. It was just a different scent. I haven't smelt the current version for a long time. Kent from Lear says Tripty. Now, my knowledge of Shakespearean tragedies is not that bad, but Lear is a huge, huge, huge gap in my Shakespeare knowledge. So I will go with Kent, and I will has to be M from Bond, says Neil. Oh, I like that. But Judi Dench, M? Judi or somebody else. So let's, the scent of M. I like that. Jonathan says, I'm currently sampling the Eris sample set. All fantastic. I'm so pleased you like them. Maybe McGonagall in Harry Potter. And again, my Harry Potter knowledge is not great either. Time to Musk Up says, I think Femme was reformulated in the 80s. I think you're right. Neil says, would Judi Dench be wearing Portrait of a Lady? Possibly. No Portrait of a Lady. We've done the Malle. Melanie from Gone with the Wind, says Rachel. This is when I have to admit to not having read so many books. I've never read Gone with the Wind. I suppose I should. That would have been a good summer read, actually. Anyway, I love P.G. Wodehouse, so I have to say Jeeves is a totally dependable. Well, yes, absolutely. The smell of Jeeves. I can't now think of Jeeves without thinking of Stephen Fry. Okay, we've done 5. So if you have just tuned in, what we are doing is my top 10 recommendations for autumn 2022. But as always, I try to come up with a kind of loose theme for the perfumes. And the theme for this year, for autumn, is the scent of trustworthiness, sense of dependability, reliability, scents that are in some way profound and that don't change with the changing tides and with the constantly changing winds. Shimon is saying Gone with the Wind hasn't aged well. Okay, and Rachel is agreeing. Had to read it in high school, says Rachel. Marie says maybe as deep cut, but Gudrun from D.H. Lawrence's Women in Love. Maybe a deep cut. Oh, sorry. Women in Love. I haven't read that for about 20 years. I can't remember it well enough. Gabriel Oak, maybe from Far From That, for Far From the Madding Crowd. In fact, I think Oak would wear Afternoon of a Faun. I could imagine him smelling of the Etat Libre. We need to move on. Okay, let's go to the 80s. From 1989. I happened to mention this just the other day at a video in relation to something else from this brand, but I've never really sprayed this particular one in an episode of Love at First Scent, and I think it's time we did, because it is a modern classic in its own right. So from 1989, the original Eau de Toilette version of New York from Parfum de Nicolai, composed by Patricia de Nicolai, as are all the scents. This huge champion of this scent, as a lot of you will be aware, is Luca Turin, who gave it 5 stars, of course, in his book, and said that he wore it for ages and ages. Where can we pop this? Let's pop it here. Is that still visible? Yeah, that looks okay. And to go back to what we were saying about maybe some of these choices being a little bit more effervescent and sparkling. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, because all I had was the 1 strand to worry about, and now I have 73. Okay, don't touch the hair. Remember, Persolaise, just don't mess with the hair. Time to Mask Up says, went with the original. 5 stars was for the EDT, not the EDP. I don't know how many stars he gave the EDP, but the EDT obviously was the original one. Now, New York is so wonderful. And what's fascinating about New York, maybe this would have been the smell of the scent of Atticus, because, of course, on the one hand, it fools you into thinking that it's actually quite a straightforward gents scent, not a barbershop cologne. It never quite fools you into thinking that it's that simple, but you smell it and you get the citrus note, and you immediately get a hit of something leathery in the heart and maybe some woods in the base, and you think, oh yeah, dependable masculine figure. Things like, I don't know, Héritage from Guerlain, that kind of feel. But you need a thin hairband, maybe, says Angela. Or a gag, more like it. Yeah. But you smell it and you realize that actually there is so much more going on here. The top note seems to be a combination of something herbal, maybe rosemary-like, and orangey and lemony. You get you get that kind of floral feel in the heart, which is, I think, what I said in the video from last week, where it's almost as though there's a usage of jasmine, like in Troisième Homme de Caron, because it was around about this time in the 80s when brands were being a bit bolder with traditionally female floral notes used in masculine perfumery. What was the Insensé from Givenchy did a similar sort of thing. Gavin says, when is your New York from? Well, this is a fairly recent acquisition, so this will have been a recent batch, and it's directly from a Nicolai boutique. So I would imagine it's a fairly modern juice. Heritage says, Eric is such an amazing scent too, like the gleaming brass of an instrument. Thank you. This has got that kind of gleaming brass quality to it as well. And I guess what's fascinating is that it really contrasts sourness with sweetness extremely well. And like all the best works of art that fool you into thinking that they're very simple at the beginning, when you actually start trying to unpick them, you realize that there's probably a million decisions and a million tiny little tweaks and details that went into creating the final piece. And I love the fact that it's got this kind of retro feel to it now, that there's something ever so slightly butch and hairy-chested about the leather note that maybe currently a brand wouldn't do. Maybe they might go for something sweeter. But it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. What would Jane Austen's Elizabeth Bennet wear, says Rachel. That's a good one. I think... Oh, that is a good one. Oh, I wonder if I'm looking at one of the... Maybe the one that I'm planning to end on. I mean, I could imagine Elizabeth Bennet smelling of Parfum de Therese, I think, because well, Or maybe see if you think it might be the next one, possibly the next one. I don't know. She'd wear Chypremousse, says Shimon. If you say so. Mirish says, I ordered samples of Nicolai with New York Intense. I'm very curious. I think you will enjoy the samples. You will definitely enjoy them. EcoJock says, is there a character scent show coming? I suppose we could do something like that. Might be fun. But what would the theme be? The original New York was very like Abbey Rouge, says Gavin, but it was reformulated massively. It's good, but not as it was. Ah, interesting. What, really like Abbey Rouge? As in powdery, dry, leathery? Interesting. Okay, so we are now on number 7. And from 2016. 2016 was a good year for this list. From Les Indemodables, we have got Oriental Velours, one of my absolute favorites from a brand that I rate so highly. Again, the founders of this brand as well, Valerie and Remy Pulvaret, did an interview with me here a while ago. Now, the interwebs tell me that the perfumer for this one was somebody called Florence, and I don't know how to pronounce their surname. It's either Fouillet, or I don't know. Most recently, all of the brand scents have been composed by Antoine Lee, but the first few, I think, were not. Rachel says, yes, Les Indemodables, great choice. I love this one. I actually wore this one the other day, and I thought, need to wear it more. If I pop it here, will you see it? No. Let's do a little bit of a swap then. Let's do this, and because you can still see the Etat Libre, and let's do that to make sure that they can all be seen. I don't pre-plan where I'm going to put them, by the way. Maybe I should. Live streams, people. Oh, meanwhile, this is wafting up to my nose. I just love it when scents completely make me lose the power to string a sentence together. I'm smelling it now, and it's really making me think of the Therese. I think what makes this one interesting is that although it is a huge ambery, balsamic, resinous, vanillic composition, it's cut through with a very clever greenish note at the top that, as I'm smelling it now, it's almost like cut grass, just scything through all of those beautiful, heavy, rich notes in the base. And velours, unless I'm mistaken, of course, means velvet. And there is something velvety about it as well, you know, going back to Mrs. Mingott from Age of Innocence, who I would imagine would always have been draped in the heaviest of velvets. And oh, Lieselot says the pronunciation is like the second one you said, but of course now I can't remember. I'll have to watch the video back and see which one was the second one. And what I love about this one, what I love about wearing it, is that it works on different planes. So it seems to have one kind of existence about, you know, 1.5 foot away from me, where it is actually much more sparkling and fresh and green than you think. Then you kind of get to about 1/2 foot away from me, and it starts sort of enticing you with florals and richer woods, and then right on your skin, right by you, it creates this aura, this haze of ambery luminosity. It's very special, really unique piece of work, I think, and one of many that are really superb. I'm so pleased that I discovered the brand when I did, because actually they'd been around for a few years before I first smelt their work. Time to Musk Up says, that's as pure a myrrh note as you'll get in a fragrance, meaning this one, yeah? But without the kind of fungal quality of myrrh as well. And Gavin, we're back to Pride and Prejudice, says, a Netflix version of Pride and Prejudice would have Elizabeth Bennet wearing something hideous and recent. Oh, I don't know. They'd probably give her like, I don't know, Poison Girl or something like that. No, actually, I think wouldn't stoop so low. Okay, There's a UK stockholder now, Persolaise, says DJ. Is there? I didn't know that. Who is it? Do tell us. Do tell us who stocks their work. Nancy says, I love Musc de Sable too. Absolutely. Very warm on a chilly day with a beautiful lingering on clothes. DJ says, Saint Celier. Oh, perhaps I did know that. I thought they had Eris. Yeah, so website only. That's a good mention, actually. So yes, there you go. The name of a website that is run and owned by a real fragrance aficionado. Not on site now, says DJ. Okay, so they're coming. Right. Okay. Right. So in a little while, probably if you're in the UK, you would be able to order that. EcoJock says she would wear Gucci Rush regarding Pride and Prejudice. Do you know? I fear that you are probably right. 3 to go. Let's go back to 2011, and similar to as we had with the Chanel, this is an EDP of a scent that first came to us as an EDT in 2005. If I have mentioned it on this channel, then I haven't done so for a long time, and I don't really have much of a memory of mentioning it on this channel. But I wish I had. It is, as I say, from 2005. Can I get this off? I remember almost from day one. The cap was a bit dodgy. It is Idole from Lubin. So this is the bottle that they put it in for 2000, and so for the EDP for 2011. The EDT bottle was more striking, but maybe a little bit politically more dubious. I don't know. Composed by the, I think we can say, legendary Olivia Jacobetti. That bottle is hideous, says DJ. Which one? This one or the first one? This I love Idole. I love Idole, and I don't know why I don't wear it more often. I think it's because I actually kind of forget that I have it. I adore Idole, says Eric. Surely we all need to say that we idolize Idole. That is the only way of describing our affection for it. Let's pop it here. People are still on their Jane Austen thing. I didn't realize we had so many Jane Austen fans here. Didn't expect that, says Pradeep. Boss with a rum stench. Fine. Is that your favorite Lubin, says Prof. Melvin? I need to bring myself up to speed with Lubin, certainly with their more recent offerings. So I guess, yes, on the strength of what I know, I would have to say, on the basis of what I know, I would have to say that this probably is my favorite Lubin. But, that's based on quite weak knowledge of the brand. That bottle is simultaneously terrifying and mesmerizing. Yes, I know what you mean. It's a striking design, isn't it? A card is great, says Pradeep. Yeah, see, I like that one as well. That's the one with the very strong cardamom opening, isn't it? So, Lubin is in many ways a kind, in terms of its structure, a kind of classic spicy booze composition. So somebody said rum, the husband of the alien bottle. Yes, yeah, in a way, you're right. Actually, somebody mentioned rum. It absolutely has that boozy, rummy quality to it. Lots and lots and lots of spices here. Very, very, very well blended, so that you keep getting a suggestion of cinnamon and nutmeg and cloves and pepper. But just when you think you've kind of homed in on one of them, they kind of disappear and they flit away, and you all you smell is the blend. But it's mysterious. It's very, very, very mysterious and very, very unmoving. And I don't mean static, because of course static is usually used as a criticism. But yeah, firm and resolute, I guess the words that I'm going for. I've just seen how long I've been rabbiting on. We've got to do 2 more, and we need to hurry up. So this is Idole from Lubin, and I wanted to ask you a question, and I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Somebody said to me the other day, a follower, a viewer, that I was the first. I find this hard to believe, but maybe somebody out there can verify this. That I was the first person to start doing live stream perfume reviews, with the emphasis being on the live stream. Now, I know that I'm not the first person to have done YouTube perfume reviews or perfume review videos, but this person reckons that I was the first person to start doing live ones, or of all the people who are still doing live stream reviews, I've been doing it the longest. And I read this, and my first reaction was that I thought, well, actually, I don't know if this is true. If it is true, then it would probably be the first and only case ever in my life of being the first doing something. But I thought I need to find out. So I don't know if anybody out there knows of somebody who's been doing live perfume reviews for ages. We need to bear in mind that when I actually started Love at First Scent, it was on Facebook Live. And was it Mr. Smelly? No, I'm pretty sure I was doing live YouTubes before he was doing it. I've been doing live YouTubes, I think, since 2017. And I think a year before that, I started doing live Facebooks. Now, I think Mr. Smelly has been doing videos for a long time, but I don't know if he's been doing live ones. I don't know. Because if I am the original, then I kind of think I need to know that, because I think, maybe you need to sort of put it up in neon lights or something. So somebody go off and do, that's your homework, folks, for today. See if anybody has been doing live perfume reviews on some kind of social platform, either YouTube or Facebook, longer than I have. And I will try to find out as well. 2 to go. So, from 1994, now you will be able to recognize that this is a Lutens, because this is the Tout Noir. You are definitely the original, Mr. Persolaise, says Jonathan. Really? Anyway, we'll come back to that one. This is from 1994, composed by the legendary Maurice Roussel, who, of course, is about to... We're about to find out what he's just done for Frederic Malle. This is Iris Silver Mist, which, again, we don't talk about enough, because it is probably one of the greatest perfumes of all time, certainly one of the greatest perfumes of the latter part of the 20th century. There we go. Let's pop that on there. Angela says, you're in a class of your own no matter what. That's very, very kind. Thank you. But I would just like to know what the facts are about chronology. Okay. Thank you very much. Persolaise the goat, says. Interesting choice from Lutens for this list, says Eric. I was thinking of Shen, not only for the inspiration. Anyway, Iris Silver Mist, one of the most beautiful iris compositions of all time, as we know. I'm pretty sure I put it on my iris list. Serge Lutens is such an underappreciated brand, says Marianne. Is it? I mean, it's pretty highly appreciated, isn't it? So I don't know how much more you want it to be appreciated. Iris Silver Mist, says Rachel, like walking in the fall just after it's rained. Yes, après l'onde, indeed. And it makes you weep. It makes your heart weep. It is melancholy. It's probably the most melancholy scent out of the 10 that we've got for today. But it is also timeless. It is the scent. It is a scent that somehow manages to encompass both this idea of some things changing and some things never changing. Almost like the kind of mandala, like a sort of Buddhist mandala thing, where I guess it's about the fact that the only constant is change, I suppose, is what you get from Iris Silver Mist, and the fact that there is constancy in change, or constancy in change. It's fantastic. It's just the most beautifully well judged, rooty, earthy, gently sweet iris. Fantastic. And for the very last one, we're going to go right to the first half of the 20th century. I was going to say bring out the big guns, but it's not really that. There had to be a Guerlain on here, okay? Because just the very fact that Guerlain are doing are giving us their classics, and I think their classics, all things considered, are still in pretty good shape, and the people at Guerlain really want to keep them in as good shape as possible. This is the brand that has on its roster Jiki and Shalimar and Mitsuko and L'Heure Bleue And, you know, insert your own favorite classic Guerlain. And they're still giving us these scents, so that we had to have a Guerlain on here. I nearly went for L'Heure Bleue. I very nearly went for Mitsuko, and then I kind of looked at the list and I thought, well, you know, Parfum de Therese and the Chanel are kind of channeling that Mitsuko thing. So then in the end, I thought, well, let's just do this. And let us bring out the beautiful extrait bottle of Vol De Nuit. You know, you like I said, you could probably have picked any classic Guerlain here, maybe with the exception of Jicky and Shalimar, because they're not really so much about permanence and constant. I'm so happy that I've got this bottle in for my collection. I mean, just the cleverest, most striking, stunning bottle design ever. So as I say, this is the extrait of Vol de Nuit from 1933, composed by Jacques Guerlain. If only this bottle really were from 1933. And then there are 3 ouds coming, says Pradeep. Yeah, I didn't see that one coming. I mean, you know, doing 1 oud for the Aromatière is one thing, but 3, I haven't smelled them yet. I am looking forward to smelling them. I will be very curious to smell them. What are people here? Stunning choice for the last one. And what a bottle, says Angela. L'Heure Bleue was the Queen's favourite, I read, says Natasha. It's possible, I suppose. I think I've read that somewhere as well. Where can we pop L'Heure Bleue? Let's put L'Heure Bleue. Let's put Vol de Nuit here. And we can still just about see everything. You're encouraging me to get out all my old samples, says Christine. And you know, I used to hate Le Parfum de Therese, and today it seems utterly gorgeous. Well, there you go. Tastes do change, right? That's another thing that changes. I have the EDT of Vol de Nuit, says Caledonia, and I'm sure the extrait is divine. It really is. It famously opens with a strong green note. But, you know, the thing is, it's almost pointless talking about notes with these classic Guerlains, because they are such abstract blends. They really show how literal and simple and overtly legible modern compositions are. Give us a close-up of the bottle, please, says Time to Musk Up. I would, but the thing is, the camera is set to focus on my face, and so I think if I come too close, then it goes out of focus. There you go. It's meant to represent the propeller of a plane, right? Because it's based on the novel by Saint-Exupéry. And I don't know if you can still see me, but I think the gremlins are doing something, because I've lost the camera stream. So if you can, no, people are commenting saying that they can't see me. Does that mean we lost you? Can't see you? And back. Phew. I think the signs are that I need to go. I have no idea what happened there, but okay. I think the gremlins are trying to say nothing is constant, right? Even live streams can get messed up. So Vol de Nuit, very quickly. Green note, and then a whole blend of beautiful florals, orange blossom, jasmine, that kind of characteristic trademark herbal note that we expect from Guerlain. But it conveys an idea rather than notes, okay? So this is not the kind of perfume that you wear because you want to sort of go, oh yes, I've picked out the galbanum, you know, aren't I clever? And it is Mr. Smelly trying a cyber attack. Better not be. I was explaining the Saint-Exupéry, says Eco Jock. Okay, right. So it's based. It's named after the Saint-Exupéry novel, and it's about perseverance, I guess, which I suppose is a good note on which to end. So the name conveys a sense of speed and a sense of, you know, flying through the night on this journey. But I guess what I take away from it is not so much velocity and movement, but perseverance, determination, dependability, and timelessness. You know, this is a scent that is still with us, that in 11 years' time is going to be 100 years old. And let us hope that we will make it to that ripe old age and that we are in as pristine condition as Vol De Nuit. So before we get to the hour mark, thank you very, very, very much for watching this episode. Thanks very much for all the comments. I will go back and read them all. Thank you to the Gremlins for being kind to us. And I will see you very soon. Be good and thanks for watching. Bye now.